Great. So I've come to learn something about myself, and myself being Merrick Syzygy, pronouns it, uno, they. And what I've come to realize is that it isn't that my brain has necessarily gotten much faster at responding to people. So most people who know me now don't know me back in the day. And back in the day, it would take me forever to respond to things. Written communication was my primary go-to because having conversations was mostly just an exchange of scripts in my head that were running and quoting like films and songs that had relevant lines in them. Actually holding conversations with people where it isn't just channeled insights or a backlog of info dumping that I've been excited to share or have like once it actually gets past that point, it becomes incredibly difficult to communicate sometimes. And I thought that I had actually outgrown that when all I'd done was improve my library and repertoire of tools to overcome it. So when it seems like I'm not great at direct messaging or being on the phone and stuff, that's why my brain takes a really long time sometimes, especially in some various contexts, to come up with the language to explain comprehensively and cohesively. And it doesn't do shallow, narrow dives on stuff easily. Those are all scripts of things that I've thought of over the course of time after an event has happened, or after I've read something or seen something or interacted with an experience. And my brain does all that in the background, like all of our brains do. But the time and process to take all of what's going on in my brain and come out with words, especially when it's like it's not just me channeling something to say and share that wisdom, but if I'm having to integrate information and respond and all that, it becomes incredibly taxing to do quickly. It's just my brain was not wired to do those things super quickly the way that a verbal conversation or a text conversation typically requires. And so I'm honoring that moving forward. I prefer to be emailed. Voice messages are somewhat doable if there's transcripts. That really, really helps because audio processing is the most taxing. And I have to really limit that in order to be able to do the things I need to do to take care of myself and my dog. I can't be chronically ill so that I can, you know, keep up with the social Joneses, unfortunately. So this is like me coming to terms with a lot of stuff about myself because I do thrive on being in community, but I very much am also a witch on the edge of the woods kind of person who can only do so much socializing because it requires a whole lot of energy to do those one-on-one experiences. And I'm really, really, really good at them when I'm immersed in them, but they require a lot of me, and I need to be able to put more energy into getting myself in better situations so that I'm not living out old patterns that are making my body sick and making my dog sick. And so, yeah. And that's something that I didn't recognize all the pieces at play for a long time. And so I was not able to articulate why it was that I was struggling with communicating. It literally has kind of all just come together in this moment as a culmination of re-entering the social world more intentionally in the last year in particular, year and a half. And thankfully in a safe space where I'm allowed to be me authentically, and that's safe. It's safe to be nonverbal and in community. It's safe to be semi-verbal or communicate with, here's the art that I made the feelings that I had from the experience, and like that being a valid, energetic exchange of experience, rather than always having to articulate in, conversations. Um, and so the soft power community has been so instrumental in helping me acknowledge and accept these aspects of myself so that I can do and give more from a more loving and rooted and grounded place more consistently in ways that are more aligned. Because those have always been my intentions. And yeah, in order to do that, I have to reconfigure how I socialize, because otherwise it's not in alignment, and then everyone ends up getting hurt more deeply when I'm not um, being realistic about what alignment looks like for me. Um, so like I'm always like, yeah, lots of things are changing. Like things have been changing, so many things, mostly things behind the scenes, and that's valid too. And now that's all coming to the forefront. There's so many transits that are um, shifting and pivoting. That were opened are closing, and new eras are uh, setting forth. And it's time to be myself fully. It's time for all of us to be ourselves fully. And I know in some ways that doesn't necessarily look as nice as it looked before. And I mean that literally and figuratively. Not performing certain appearances for validation, external validation, and, or even internal validation, just going with what's authentic in the moment. And sometimes that looks, messy or rude or um, inconsistent. But I know for me that everything, kind of where I was, coming from, is nothing that I'm saying for the most part, like 99% of the time, the words coming out of my mouth are not just impulsive things, even if they seem impulsive and quick to come to the surface or the moment or the exchange. I think a lot about everything all the time. I spend a lot of time in my mind palace. It's a great place to be. And I juggle that with being able to do and be the things that are aligned for me in and around and with people at the same time. So, um, like everything I do is to try to be a better person and help things be better, generally, even if I seem like a bitch at the time. And yeah, I feel like I just wanted to, like, in particular, name how I socialize as like a big shift, because historically, I I had started trying to do that over and over, being super social, being super interactive on a regular basis, and consistently have found over the past 40 years that that is not authentic to me and that is not sustainable. So it's not with disrespect for any, person or people. It's just not how my brain works to be super, like, I shifting from conversation to conversation in messaging ways. In fact, I'm going to be narrowing to how I do social media in general, because having so many platforms is too many for me. I, I'm going to basically have one set of content that I'm going to distribute to the platforms that I'm on, but I'm not going to be spreading myself across multiple platforms anymore. Um, so it won't really matter where you're following me from. You're going to be getting the same content, and it's all going to be coming from one place that, we can, bring it back into the source of things more easily in those ways. And it'll be that and me doing, events, facilitations, conversations with community networks. Soft Power is one of my community networks, and there have been others that I've been connected with at various points and will be connected with. But Soft Power has definitely been a big one, big primary social figure in my life. It's water with mint leaves. Yeah, so those are some of the changes. Also, the pronouns. It's very rare that I'm comfortable with being addressed with she, her pronouns. And so it, they, and oh no. They is fine. They is fine. You don't have to go with it and oh no if you don't feel comfortable with that. But you all really need to back off the she and her promptly, immediately, yesterday. Let's see here. I will be leaning into conversations around non-duality in the context of being a liminal person in so many ways. My lineages have ancestrally been bridges in geography, culture, space, time, everything. It just is what it is. And let's see here. Other changes that need to be addressed. Well, I'll just make additional posts because 11 and a half minutes is pretty good. So thank you so much for hearing what some of the changes are. And I'm going to be sharing this all throughout. And I'm not sure if Substack is going to be where the main home is of things. Probably not. Seeming more like I'm going to get my ducks together to have a website of my own so that I can control my content. There's no censorship. I have my evergreen data and can create the kind of inclusive, ethical, and integrity-based community center hub of my own that I love seeing in the world around me and participating in because these ways of being exist, and that's what we're leaning into as we divest from empire. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.